We good?
Yeah.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us. We're just about to start. Now, just for you guys, when we did that amazing gig in Airsden, and it led to us going to Airsden and then going to Airsden
again.
to different places in Airsden, it's happened again, at least for the first time, because you might recognise this place just to my right hand side, a crow, a bird of ill omen standing on a cross at the far corner. Just to give you a flavour, it's early evening, the sky's just starting to go dark, and we're back in Ovingham. And I have to make an apology to you because we were advised to come here by Sheena, if you remember, and there was another guy sent us here too. We had 2 stories we were chasing. We answered all of those stories. We did the entire village, and while I was prepping it, I was totally unaware that a proper horror story, I mean a horror story that's not just travelled from Ovingham all over Britain, all over Scotland, all over Europe, the story of a horrific character that they've made 15 to 20 films about, happened up this road. Now, there's amazing things like this. The way we've got to get in is to climb up here, Kenny. So be careful you don't kill yourself. You've got to get over there. There's no other way to go in. So just make sure the gate's open.
Why am I?
But that's the old school way that they did it. But we're heading in a way to a place that really is quite stunning. So you guys come over the stile too.
Yeah, Tony, you can walk up there as well, not through the gate.
With a camera. Well, I'm carrying all the glummet. I've got Sucky and I've got a load of...
You want to carry Sucky?
No, I'm all right. I've got a lot of ghost hunting tools in the back, in my backpack, because we're going to do a full ghost hunt when we get up to the place we're heading, which is Whittle Mill. Now, I mentioned that up this road, and it's about 15, 20 minutes up here, we've got a cemetery with an evil connection. There's an extra bit of cemetery that we've not been in, just over this wall. We're going to end there when we come back. We got our torches because we know it's going to be jet black by the time we get up there and settled. And we know it's about 15 or 20 minutes to get up there. Whittle.
Mint sauce.
Oh dear.
I'm going to get done for worrying sheep.
Oh dear, dear, dear. I felt that coming and I regretted it from the second. But apparently all you've got to do is follow the trail. Now,
Right.
that would lead us into this bloke's backyard.
It's got to be up there.
Yes, we're going to go straight ahead. And we're told that it is straight up ahead. And this is a mill that was built in 1560.
What?
1560, they were milling corn here and using water from the Dean and horsepower when the water pressure wasn't strong enough. They used to crush the corn, and they were still doing that up until 1920. Can you believe that? 1920. Now, this trail has a whole host of stories attached to it as well. And I can't believe, because we didn't look for Whittle Dean and Whittle Mill, we didn't get all of these amazing stories. There's ghost stories, horror stories, murder stories, all on this trail. And yes, there are sheep, horses, pigs, goats, llamas, all kinds of creatures that will terrify Tony.
There's only bulls. I'll never forget that bull that time in the
We can't remember what it was because I was looking for that clip.
Oh,
Remember what it was called, that place?
Scary.
Because we were looking for that clip.
When I just got there and I walked in and there's just lying there, a bull.
Well, no, that you know the castle. It was the clip in the castle we wanted. With the shadow walking past, but I can't remember the name to find it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was right
There's
at the
a path-
very beginning, and we caught 2 full-bodied
down there, no.
apparitions.
Down there?
No.
No,
No, surely. Is it?
no, you keep following the trail. That takes you down to allotments and a burn.
Right.
Now when we get to Whittle Mill, there's a wooden bridge there, and one of the people that owned the mill was called Thomas Forster, and Thomas Forster had a 12-year-old son, and he was teaching him how to ride, and while he was riding on a new pony, he was trying to get the pony to cross the little wooden bridge, and it was panicking because it was like enclosed, and
Right.
it had never had that before, and it reared up, threw the kid off. The young lad hit his head on the stanchion at the side of the bridge and died. And they say that his ghost is often seen on one side of the river, almost as if he's too scared to go across to the other side.
Right.
So that's the first ghost story. But there's an awful lot more along this trail. This was the trail that all of the workers had to travel up to get to the mill, because they lived in Ovingham.
So they all walked up
They
here?
all walked up here every day.
Brilliant. Even that is just mad, isn't it?
This track, apparently, and I think it is just about wide enough to be accessible by a horse and cart,
Just about.
and it's very heavily used, and apparently it was much higher than it is now, but it's worn down over the years, and as many as 500 workers a day
Up and down here.
walking up and down. But you can imagine, with no houses at any side,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
just wilderness, and they were all suffering from a thing that they used to call Milner's itch.
Right.
Now, have you ever worked in a bakery?
Never. Never.
Because I have.
Right.
I used to work at a weekend for extra money at Hunters the Bakers when I was a
Oh,
kid,
yeah.
on Gateshead's
Valley.
Team Valley Trading Estate, Kingsway.
Okay. Yeah.
And at the weekend, they used to have me in to wash the vans. Now, if you've ever had flour in your ears, up your nose, in your mouth, drying your throat, it is a horrible, I mean, it's horrific. And also, back in the day, they had flour mites.
Right.
These tiny little creatures that would literally live in your nose, live in your ears. And it didn't matter how much you cleaned yourself, you had these creatures on you and in you. Hang on, bear with me a second. Let's get...
Can you remember in the 1970s when there was a bread shortage?
Yeah, of course.
Right. And a guy from Hunters and Bakers come up to Aladdin, right?
Uh-huh.
With a van full of loaves. Honestly, it was like the craziest
Pandemonium.
thing. Everybody was now buying loads of loaves. I'm thinking, why? Do you need bread that much?
It's a question.
1970s was a bread shortage.
Now, the thing is, I know we've got a little bit of history between, but this track is haunted. From this gate onwards, it's haunted. So what I would need you to do, when you are watching this, just be aware that there are a whole raft of stories and things you should be looking for, because this really is tremendous. That gentleman was my guy. We wouldn't be here without this man. Thanks a lot, man. See you later. So, along this track, just keep your eyes open, and if you spot anything, try and screenshot it. If you look down, you can see the fast-running waters of you can hear it, absolutely, but you can also see it down below. That's Whittle Dean, very famous.
I've never been here before in my life.
No, me neither, and I've heard about it, and there's little tracks in all directions, Kenny.
Lots of birds as well.
Yeah, but you've just got to be aware that people see things all the time here.
Look at that.
I know.
Get across the water.
They've built a little bridge here, Tony, that you might...
That's,
beautiful.
it's clever.
Because you're not drowned if you fall in there. It's only a few feet deep.
No.
But apparently when you've had heavy rains, it can go up 3, 4 and 5 feet. So, and if the water's pounding down there, look at this, amazing.
Isn't it?
It is beautiful. But the point I was making about working in a bakery was just for those people who worked here all those years ago, and I mean we're talking hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Is that a bird?
No.
Sounds like hello.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting,
That's voice.
that's a clear voice. And it was somebody shouting.
And then somebody just jumped in the river. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Like a stone in the river.
Yeah. Well, it was bigger. I thought it was
Yeah, it was like a splash.
proper splash. Did you see the bridge, Tony?
One
The
tree
log.
trunk.
Yeah, the log bridge.
I don't know if you ought to pick it up. Oh, you might be able to a little bit. Might
There's
be.
weird noises.
We're getting all kinds of odd, strange sounds. Now, I know you'd certainly feel more related to all things paranormal, but there's a lot of odd voices here.
Isn't there?
We're hearing voices clear as day. Now, when I spoke to a guy from the tourist board about Whittle, he said, "Oh, you're gonna hear an awful lot of people talking." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Oh, all around Whittle, people hear voices and people talk. People talk in your ear. We just heard somebody shout hello, which is just because there's nobody here."
No, there's not.
Now, the reason that we were,
You gotta pull these up.
oh, have you?
Yeah.
We pull them up then. Got it. That was strange.
There was hello.
I know. What is that?
What?
There's a train track around.
Sounds like a train, doesn't it? Like an old
Is there? Well, is there a yeah, I suppose there's one that goes to Hexham.
Might be, but why would it be making that noise?
And why could we hear it here? Anyway. But no, when we were talking about working for bakeries, the workers who worked at this mill, crushing corn for a living, for using the water mill to whiten fabric. Oh, hang on,
Fire? Is that a fire?
that is a fire.
That's a fire, you can see the smoke.
Now you see, this became a Witchwood.
Right.
The place that we're heading to, it became a Witchwood.
I mean, that is smoke, isn't it? Or is it just misty? Or
No, it's smoke. Witchwood, yeah.
Right.
Now, when you're talking about, look at this, pitch black, this will be amazing.
Oh,
And we've got to come back this way as well.
I stood up on the path there and I just said, what the hell is that? It just flew up. Why would there be a fire here?
Well, the last time we came across a fire, it was a
It was
a witch's circle,
Yeah.
a ceremony in the middle of a tree line, and you just stumble across it because nobody would expect us to come out this time of night.
Noises and voices.
There's voices all around us, Tony, here. Can you hear them?
I can hear voices, definitely.
This looks beautiful, mate.
Water's quite clear.
And do you know when we were talking, last time we were in Ovinham, we went down beside that little bridge and we were looking for wispies.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Well, somebody sent me a quotation because all along the banks of this river, it's said to be a fairy glade. Now, you can believe it or believe it not, but this is the quotation that I got sent. It was said to be the elfin home of elfin folk, fairies, wispies, and in 1846 they wrote, "Among the romantic thickets, the projecting rocks and the deep whirling pools of the sequestered ravine of Whittle near Ovingham, spots are still pointed out as the favourite retreats of harmless fairies and weeping lovers." So how about that? And it says that the fairies that live here are battling against the ghost, the evil spirit of a man called Lang Lankin. Now, Lang Lankin, Steel Eye Span, the band, recorded a song called that. And with respect to that story, and I'll tell you the story, it's a bloodthirsty, nasty, full frontal adult kind of tale, the story of Lang Lankin. I'll share that with you a little bit later on. But the reality of it is that that story spread across the world. And other people started seeing the slender man, the dark figure in the woods, the creature hiding behind trees. And it was an amazing, he became the bogeyman of the day.
Right.
So here in the north, they would say, you better not walk down to Whittle Dean. Lang Lankin will get you. And it was used by parents to keep people away. And they copied that story and they ran it in all different directions, literally all over the place. Other countries have used it too, throughout France. There's a couple in Scotland, very famous in Norfolk. And yet the original story, the story that has historical proof, because across there in the opposite direction, in a place called Nafferton, there's a tower called Nafferton Tower where Lang Lankin used to live. So we know where he lived, what he did, and it all started here in Ovingham. Now, we got to head in this direction. I noticed that there's a couple of people walking with a dog here, and I have a sneaky suspicion they're going to stop us because they had a certain ounce of fascination connected with us. So
I don't fancy going near that dog though.
no, the dog looks like it eats people. I know, we're going to get interrupted, so it's just going to have to happen. This is why we're doing a rough mix on a Wednesday. So this water is particularly clear. I don't know whether you've noticed how clear it is, but the clarity of the water is the reason why they used it for cleansing and bleaching clothes. And it said the clothes that are the cleanest and whitest in all of Britain came from Whittle.
It's not mad.
And it's just, I mean, it's not particularly spooky,
No.
but it's one of those things that,
Never mind your dams and all
I know. So looking at a place like this, which is an amazing place to come, and I would absolutely suggest that you come down here if you can, even if it's just to experience a genuine fairy glade, where, you know, we talk about the wispies further down the river. Well, this is where you're really supposed to see them. Got to be a bit careful because you are walking through nettles and battling your way through the undergrowth, but we'll get there. We just got to follow the river really, because that's to the point where we've got to get to. It's an interesting place to come up. I've not been here before, and it's fascinating, but you've got to keep your eyes open because there are dark things that move around here, and you never get a better chance to see them than in places like this when it's just getting dark, when the shadows are just getting a little bit longer. This is exactly where you need to be. And they say that they've got certain bushes, fairy trees, fairy bushes, and if you look around, the things they're talking about, it's like, do you see over here with this, it's a mulch between an old tree bark with various hidey holes. You see how they get in at the end?
Yeah.
These are the places that people would come and say, if you sat here and watched and waited, you would see the fairy folk here.
Right.
But this is it. How is it like that?
Yeah.
And yet,
That is just completely still, isn't it?
well, we've got to search out another place here. There's a place called the Eddy Broth.
Right.
Now, you know what an eddy is?
Yeah.
You know, it's moving water. And you know what broth is?
Yeah.
There's a circular pool of ice clear water up beside Whittle Mill.
Right.
And it was said that that's the place where you have to make a tribute. It's also where the stones there have the blood of Lang Lankin in them. They say that if you pick up stones from the riverside, they've got the blood of Lang Lankin. Now, Lang Lankin committed horrific murders, and I'll tell you a bit more about them. But you can see, how clear is that?
That there's all like ripples and everything, and look how still, just nothing is done.
No. But you see, that to me is, it's a fairy thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Why
it
why
is.
else would it, you know, normally a piece of wood fall in a river, rot, it's
Yeah,
gone.
gone.
That one's held a foot above the water.
Yeah. And probably been there a lot of years.
And I know people talk about fairies. I link fairies to ghosts and spirit.
Yeah.
It's just another branch. But look at that. You've got an overhang, so you're completely dry.
Like a little cave, isn't
I
it?
think later on tonight, certainly when we come back, we'll be able to see wispies there. I'd be very surprised if we didn't. Watch your step here, though. There's lots of broken trees and nettles and... Absolutely. So let's get back up here and back on the track. There's a couple of dog walkers before, but we managed to move around them. See, it's early enough, but what is the smoke, Kenny? As I say, the last time we came down, and the fact that it's a Witchwood that we're heading to makes me wonder if it's another ceremony. Absolutely. It's not mist. You can see it hanging on the trees. It's only if they're doing a ceremony, because you're not allowed to camp here. Well, yeah, but it'll not be for long. Give it another 20 minutes. You can see how the torches are starting to have an impact. Amazing. You know, we were talking again about the flour and corn milling and what have you.
Yeah.
What you have to remember, though, is that pretty much everybody that worked at the mill had lung diseases because they're breathing in flour, they're breathing in these dust mites, they're sleeping at night with mites in your ear, up your nose, climbing down your throat, all over your body and your belly button, up your backside. I mean, they're in every orifice.
Yeah.
I know it's a gross thing to say, but if you were an uncircumcised male, they would find flour mites in the most disgusting places. And that's just how it was. And that was the price. And they'd get home and they'd have a wash. But you remember, you had to boil water to put it in, you know, so they'd only bath once a week. So you can imagine how scruffy it was. And you know, when we're talking about bread and what have you, and we buy a batch, you know, is a type of bread, and we'd ask for a seeded batch. The stuff in the bread from places, from the corn made in these kind of places, had all kinds of stuff in, but there were normally things with legs and crawling. So, but bursting their lungs. The average life expectancy at Whittle Mill back in the late 1500s was about 11 years.
Dear me.
Now, you know, we talk about coal mines and stuff, but it's not much better, is it, really?
Not at all.
11 years.
11 years of hard work and then that's it, done.
Absolutely. And if the water didn't drive the mill wheel, if there wasn't enough force in the water, then the men had to pull it with horses. So there'd be half a dozen men and 2 horses going round in a circle driving the grinding wheel. Now that is smoke, you can smell it though, can't you?
Definitely. So there's a fire somewhere,
Absolutely.
but we don't know where.
No. The engraver Thomas Bewick that we talked about at Ovingham, you know, we saw his grave and the grave of his missus.
Yeah.
They used to come down to this mill regularly and they would draw the mill, paint the mill, and you know, he wrote a book about all of the wild birds.
Right.
It's down here where he saw them all. This is what got him inspired on all of that. So everything has a connection in this neck of the wood.
Again, you don't realise these things until you come here.
Not at all. Now, this whole area used to belong to a man called the Earl of Derwentwater, and the Earl of Derwentwater owned, I mean, as far as the eye can see in all directions. And in 1715, he said that he hated the English king, and instead he was going to join the Jacobite rebellion and fight with the Scots. And the Scots came down to try and take the English throne, and at the Battle of Preston, the Earl of Derwentwater was captured. He was taken off to London, held in the Tower of London, and decapitated on Tower Hill using an axe. And indirectly, that battle led to the ghost story of the area that we're just coming to. The Witchwood starts here. You can probably tell. You can see that, and there's been some smoke here as we've seen, although I can't see the smoke anymore.
It's gone.
But there's a story about a man called Mad Jack Hall. His name was John Hall,
Right.
not Sir John Hall, although I bet he had his moments. But Jack Hall, his name, Mad Jack Hall. He was crazy. He was an obsessively crazy warrior. And he fought alongside the Earl of Derwentwater, and this was his land. He was given this land after the Earl of Derwentwater died. But Mad Jack was also arrested at the Battle of Preston, captured, and he was sentenced to death too. Now his family lived in Otterburn, and they moved to Ovingham. They moved here because the Crown had taken Mad Jack's land because he was fighting against them. So his family moved here to Ovingham, and after Mad Jack was decapitated, and he had his head cut off too at Tower Hill, he was reprieved 5 times. 5 times. Because, and the reason he was reprieved apparently was he had some dirt on the king.
Right.
And the king didn't want him to tell anybody what was going on. We're now in the Witchwood. Now, I'm also going to be telling you a little bit later on what people had to be considered a witch. And it's shocking. Now this is more like it. We're getting it now. Look at this. You know, we're talking about wispies, elves, fairy folk. Even if you just call them elf spirit, this is where you'd see them. You can go down here by the side of the river.
You could go down that.
Off you go, Kenny.
I'm not going down there. No way.
No, but you would use that as a handrail, wouldn't you?
You like doing it though.
No.
And look at that one.
Yeah. If you are a gibbon, this is a place
Yeah.
to... But you see, things like that, back in the old days, you see over there, that particular area just there, that's like a path down into the river.
Yeah.
And people used to say that that would be the way that the elves would get down to the riverside, and then they'd wash and they'd clean and they'd feed.
Yeah,
And
again.
what did you hear?
There was like a... Sounds like a groan. What was that?
There's somebody groaning. Did you not hear that?
Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah.
whoa. Do it again. And this is exactly the kind of place where you'd have something of that sort. Now this became a Witchwood in 1487. 1487. Do you realise how far back we're going? And this became a Witchwood for obvious reasons. We keep mentioning a book called the Malleus Maleficarum, the book, the Hammer of the Witches it was called. And it drove people to hide as far away from human beings as you could.
Right.
And that was here.
It's easy to hide in here, mate.
Absolutely. And they would come and they would hide
How would they ever find you?
in this.
They come looking for you, just go somewhere else. They don't ever find you in here.
But what would you need at your home, and your home, wherever you live? What would drive you out of your house? What would make you do it?
If someone was coming to kill you.
If somebody was coming to kill you. What are they looking for? Bear with me, have a listen to this. You were a witch if you had a mole. I got a mole.
Right, and me.
If you had a birthmark.
Got a birthmark somewhere.
If you had a pet of any kind. Now, rich people had hunting dogs, but they didn't have pet dogs. If you had a pet dog or a pet cat, you were a witch. And the witch was your familiar. It was something that Satan had sent to you to make sure that it held power over you. You didn't need to have a child. If you had a pet, you were a witch. That's it.
That's it. No
Did you hear the voice?
Yeah, behind Tony.
Behind Tony. Well, how else were you a witch? If you had a wart or a boil anywhere on your body.
Right.
If you were female and annoying.
That's everybody.
That's what the church said.
That's everybody.
If you're female and annoying.
Oh,
I've not met one who hasn't been at some occasion. Also, if you are female, oh, watch your step, Tony. You go down here, you're a long way down, aren't you? And you're knocking off cliffs as well here. You are also considered a witch if you are female and middle-aged. It said that you lost your attractiveness at 41. So if you were older than 41 and somebody wanted to point the finger at you, you're a witch. You were also a witch if you didn't go to church. You were also a witch if you owned something that your neighbour wanted, because all they had to say was, that woman next door's a witch. And they'd arrest you and kill you. And the other thing was, if you refused to give at least a third of all the money you earned to the church. Do you understand how people living on, you know, from hand to mouth? Watch your step here, this is... Yeah, absolutely. But the church had all the power. So, oh, this is claggy up here, mind. Oh, Kenny. I'm not sure what to do for the best here, mate. Claggy. I got willies on, I don't know how you're doing, Ken. You're all right. So as you can see, an awful lot of you watching this, and an awful lot of you have members of your family who are absolutely witches. And you see, if you're female and annoying. Now the other thing attached to this was, you know, we're laughing about it, but 280,000 women were executed for being witches. And I know that everybody talks about them being burnt at the stake. The majority were hanged. There was only about 40 or 50 that were burned. But you see, 280,000 executed. But because of what the church did, the church came out and said, if you know anybody who's a witch, drive them out. If you kill them, you are not committing any crime.
Oh God!
Just gives you like
Now this led.
It's even worse, yeah.
Yeah. And then they said, "Oh dear, oh this is not
good." What? Don't go too near the end, otherwise it'll bloody be an avalanche.
This is dating with death, isn't it?
This isn't good.
This will be good. Not really.
Oh, stay on the stones, Kenny. The stones. At most, the odd one. Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, that was a deep one.
The bridge isn't very straight either.
Oh, this is Kenny. This is coming off the hill. Oh. No, so they executed 280,000 in Britain alone. You got to remember France, Germany, Spain, Spanish Inquisition. So they killed millions in total. And it's thought that from the 280, 10 times that number lost their lives being murdered by people in their towns and villages. So, you know, we're talking an unbelievable amount of death and misery. This is the Witchwood, and quite a slog just to get here, and the entire world vanishes to your left hand side. Yeah, no, this is going to be dangerous. We'll have to be careful. But I was telling you about the ghost, this mad Jack Hall that ended up getting his head chopped off as well in Tower Hill. Oh, look at this. What is this? Now there's some huts on your right hand side. We've got to go past the huts.
There's a bridge down there.
Brilliant. We might cover this on the way back, Tony, but we've got to go through these huts. Do you know what these huts are? These are buildings where people have chosen to live off the grid, with no post, no wheelie bins, living off the grid altogether. People have built their own homes and they choose not to have anything to do with amazing, I think. Proper pioneer stuff. Oh dear, do you hear that? That's not good. Did you hear that, Kenny? Did you hear it? Yeah. Just growl that. It's not what you want to...
There's loads of huts.
I know. It's not what you want to hear though, being growled at in the middle of nowhere. As I say, we've got all our ghost hunting equipment that we're carrying, and it wasn't heavy on my shoulders when I started, but it's starting to be. Oh, voices. Voices again, Tony.
Yeah, I heard that.
There's no one here and there's no lights. Imagine if you had to walk a mile to get to your home, carrying anything that you may wish to carry. Here we are. Oh, there we are. Ah, dear.
Oh.
That is crazy, isn't it? So there's a building here and a building there.
This is amazing. Now we're told that the murder took place down here. Watch your back, Tony, it's just down here. And this is literally, this is one of the bloodiest stories, myths, legends, historically correct. Now if you continue up the trail for another, it's about a third of a mile to a half a mile, you come to Nafferton Tower. Now a man who was said to be a Freemason, his name was Lankin, and he was 6'7". We've been talking about super tall chaps over the recent weeks. 6'7", and he was a long streak of misery, everybody called him. And he used to hang out in these trees, and he'd stand there wearing black. You know, in the semi-darkness like this, just look around. Imagine trying to see somebody wearing black next to a tree. And he did some work for the Wallace family. And the man, who was a minor aristocrat, he refused to pay him for building his house. And Lankin used his workers, he didn't do it himself, but his workers built this home for him, quite a posh house. So Lankin says, I shall get my revenge on you in the worst way imaginable. 3 days later, Mary Wallace and her 8-month-old baby were walking through here. Now you've got to remember, the mill didn't exist at that time. We're talking in medieval times. And she came down here to where the bridge was, which is just like 100 yards in that direction. We'll go and do some stuff, we'll do some necromancing at the bridge. But she was up here at an area called the Whittle Rapids, which is just here. You can see them over yonder. That's, light them up, Kenny. That's the Whittle Rapids. Now, if you can imagine, back then, apparently, there was a little trail, and I presume this is what's left of it. I'm not going down there. No. But there was a little track down to the rapids, and you could sit on the bank and you could have a picnic. Yeah. And Mary was there with a newborn baby, 8 months old, the little baba. Lang Lankin saw her walking down here because he used to just stand in the woods and watch what was going on. He was a vile, unpleasant man. He came out here, he attacked Mary, he raped her by the side of the water, and then he murdered her. He chopped her head off, and then he decapitated the little child too. Now, horrific as it was, the interesting and even darker thing about this, and you can check the history of Lang Lankin, when they found Mary and the little baby, neither of them had any blood in them. He'd taken the blood, he'd drained both bodies of blood, he'd hanged Mary upside down from one of the trees here to drain the blood, hung the baby upside down, decapitated to drain the blood, and he carried the blood off. Now, why? If you lived in medieval times, leprosy was a major problem back in the day, and it was believed at that time that if you bathed in the blood of the innocents, it could cure your leprosy. Lang Lankin had leprosy. So, bottom line, it looks like the story of Lang Lankin absolutely started here. Amazing story. It happened here. So, we're going to necromance a bit. We're going to set up Suki.
Where's he gone?
What's what? What?
The man was just walking along there.
A man?
100%, yeah.
I didn't see a man.
No. Honestly,
I didn't see a man.
There's a man just walking along there.
Could it be somebody from the huts?
It could be. Where's he gone? 100% there's a man walking along there. No, there was a man walking along there.
Was he dressed in black?
I don't know. He's just walking along there.
It's possible there's people here. Kenny's going on the hunt. Now the question is, where do we set up?
Right, the other building. I don't know if you can get in there, can you? It looks quite overgrown.
Yeah, well, I think it is.
Maybe in...
The other building.
Yeah, just across there, maybe.
Let's go and have a look.
This is a way in here. No.
Yeah, you can get over the fence, I'm sure. Or maybe not. maybe not. Looks like it's easy to get into. But in every direction, you see how you see stone walls? There's a building here too, do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
It is very overgrown.
It's not this side. It's not as bad.
Yeah, but you've got no idea how deep it is on your left-hand side.
Yeah.
You could get over there, Tony, if you wish.
Yeah, just there's a trail here as well.
Getting nettled. Oh dear. Keep your eyes open for Lang Lankin. He's hiding in the trees around here. And you see, if you wanted to be next to one of their walls, there's one just here.
I can't believe people live down here.
Yeah, well, there's people in these huts. Right, let's get down here, see what we can find. It's padlocked. See if we can get around the corner. Oh, look at this. There's the bridge, Kenny.
Yeah, but he was walking up the trail and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to interrupt me here, he's going to interrupt me. He's going to complain and see what you're doing.
It might be somebody that lives in a hut.
But he had to come here.
Well,
He had to come down here.
Well, he must be down here somewhere. This is the bridge. This makes sense. You'd never get a pony over there, Kenny, would you? Right. Yeah, you'd think so. Ooh. Ah. Oh dear. Oh. Right. Sucky, it's your moment. Let's get Sucky out. We're doing the whole thing. We're putting Sucky out as well. Come on, Sucky. This was made for you, son. No idea. Don't go swimming. Kenny, go and stick bad baby somewhere. And put a ball up somewhere. Yeah, wherever you think. You think? Just looks like he's disappeared. Or was he real? Right. Right. Leave that there too. Let's put him on. Right, let's necromance and see what we get. You got bad baby over there. Now the thing is, do you remember when we were talking about the, oh hang on, Tony's coming down. Let's give him a chance to do that. Remember when, did you hear that? There's a groan just across the other side. Just across the other side. Now, when we were talking about, what? Whoa, hello.
That didn't take long, did it?
Now, when we were talking about, we were talking about stones and stuff. It said that the blood cast by Lang Lankin spread into the ground. And if you look on the stones on the ground, you find stones that have the blood of hang on, Tony. This stone's here. It might just be my eyes. Can you see?
Torch is blind in the. Yeah.
What?
There's red in the stone. Do you see it? Can you see the grain of red?
Oh, yeah, I can with my eye.
Oh, hang on. Kenny's. What you spotted? To me, that looks red. I don't want to blind you with it, but there looks like a red hue in the stone.
You take a picture of it, or put it in your pocket and we'll take a picture later.
I heard it groan before.
The necromance.
Oh, that's
Supposed to split the stream.
that's what I was going to do. Absolutely.
Or maybe it's trying to split the stream now.
Right. We're going to necromance. We've already had a little bit of sucking. We've only been here like 2 minutes. We're going to base.
Look at the heat coming off me.
Oh, look at this. You see the heat coming off Kenny?
Oh my god.
Blood red in the stone. Blood red in the stone.
How's the heat coming off me like that?
And you see
Off
it?
the stone? Look at it. You can see that, can't you?
But look at the blood in the stone. Other side. Look at the other side.
Oh.
Look at it.
We have to keep the stones because it doesn't pick up on the cameras.
There's blood red in the stone.
Oh god.
Keep the stone.
Keep
We'll
the stone in your
take pictures of
pocket.
it.
Put it in your pocket.
It's not picking up on here.
It said it's the blood of Lang Lankin.
Why is the heat? Why is the heat coming off that?
I've no idea. It shouldn't. Look at it. Can you see the steam at least? Look at it.
That is absolutely
Oh, hello.
stupid.
Look.
Oh, that's sucky.
Oh my god.
Look,
That's absolutely crazy.
we're going to split the screen. If you'd like to stay with us, we're just beginning, and obviously we've come all this way. We've got to go all the way back in the pitch black and risk our lives. We've got stones that are steaming, stones that have got blood in them. Just see this one. Kenny, can you see that one?
Oh god, yeah. Oh
There's-
god, like a scully thing as well.
It does look like a human skull. Amazing.
Where's that heat coming from?
Oh, he was just going a minute ago. Said to be blood from the 2 murders of the Wallaces, Mrs. Wallace and her little baby. We're going to do a proper ghost hunt here and on the bridge where the young boy died, on the land that's Witchwood, on the land that the ghost of Mad Jack Hall came back to join his family who'd moved here to Ovingham. This is why I apologised earlier, because this is the big story from Ovinham. It's not down there in the town, it's right here. If you want to join us, how do they do it, Tony?
Yeah, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, just there's a link in the video description. Hit that. Part 2 will be there to join, or if you're a supporter already, you can watch part 2 from there as well.
Something here sounded like a machine. Like, did you hear it? It went. "Arrrr." Did you hear that?
Yeah. But I thought it was like do you like a horse?
A horse?
You know, like
Oh, I didn't get that. I got a kind of a sheep. Tony, look at that. I could have sworn there was somebody sitting with it on the corner there,
where? Oh,
at the window. That's ridiculous. Ugh! Cree. Right, let's. Oh, I was going to necromance, wasn't I? What's the matter? What's wrong? What's wrong? What? I've just come up, man. What's the... Oh,
no way that could have fell from there.
bad baby's on the ground, Tony.
There's no way it could have fell from there.
Oh, it could have done,
No, it couldn't.
couldn't it?
The ball hasn't moved.
Bad baby's dead.
Don't. How could that? Oh! This is ridiculous.
Have you seen this? The baby's on the floor.
And that's going.
And it was a
And
baby.
the ball hasn't moved.
It was a baby. It was a baby. It was a baby.
Upside down.
Can't
Upside
see.
down.
Can I just
Move out of the way, Kenny.
Oh, man.
Bad baby. It was on there.
sucky again?
Sucky. Sucky's just non-stop.
Weird. Weird. The ball hasn't even moved. Why isn't the ball went off? It was
Sucky is constantly. That's all.
exactly. But that ball hasn't moved, but the baby has.
Ah. Oh. I didn't think twice, but it's a baby. You know, it says put bad
upside
baby up, it's a baby.
Where's that man?
It could have fell.
Seriously, there was I'm not just saying, there was a man walking up the track there.
It could, but that he could have felled the baby. That was too.
Very weird.
Mrs. Wallace, was that you? No, just put him back, Kenny. Just put him back. Stand him up.
Right.
If he goes again, we'll know when we come back.
Right.
If you put him there, check him out, Tony. Make sure you know where he is. Kenny, move away. Was that you, Mrs. Wallace?
Oh, as soon as he said that,
What?
Oh.
he went off.
Oh, just behind us.
What the hell?
There's something up here. That's ridiculous.
All of a sudden, it's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where's that ball still? This is a bit crazy now.
Just odd, isn't it?
Do we leave this yellow or not? What was that?
I didn't hear anything.
He hasn't stopped.
Eh?
If you take the light off, the light shows better. There.
Right, sorry. What was like something behind us there? Was something behind the wood near the line? Ah!
Oh, look, beside you, Kenny. Look, the balls. Look,
Ah!
the balls. Did you see them there?
Something got us in the face. I'm not kidding you.
What?
Something hit us in the face. What the? Honestly, that is just not right, that like. The ball went off as well.
Did you see the ball?
I saw it in my eye, but there's a lot going on, so I didn't want to.
You dropped the torch as well. Oh,
It hit us in the face.
what hit you in the
I
face?
have no idea.